What's up, guys? Paramoto here. Today I want to give you a full review of my Panigale 959. I'm going to give you a full review of the first 6 months, purchasing, financing, insurance, every problem that I've detailed in the last 6 months. Stay tuned. I'm going to give you everything you want to know about my 2018 Ducati Panigale 959. Let's get to it. Alright, guys, like I said, today is going to be my first full official review of my Ducati Panigale 959. I'm going to give you guys the full rundown of the first 6 months, every problem. I'm just going to give you guys everything, and this is going to be a full comprehensive review. I'm going to use my phone a little bit because I got a little bit of notes in here. But yeah, let's get to it. So on December 3rd, I bought my 2018 Ducati Panigale 959. The reason why I bought it is I was almost thinking about getting out of sport bikes and going to probably something more like an FC09, MT10. I was even entertaining the idea of going to a Harley at one point. I was going to get a Harley Roadster, which is about like the sportiest Harley that they make, right? But I decided I wanted to get about 1,000cc bike at least once in my riding career, and I wanted a Panigale, and I got one. So on December 3rd, I went to Garcia Moto in Raleigh. They were cool as shit, and they basically set me up on this bike. So I went in, they let me test ride a red Ducati Panigale 959, and then they're like, you know, we're going to let you test ride this one so that when you buy your white one, it'll have 0 miles on it. So when I bought my bike, it literally had 0 miles on it. I put the first mile on that bike, they assembled it, they rode it a little bit, and then they let me off on my way. So I had a 2013 CBR 600 RR before this. I had that bike for a few years. Before that, I had a 2014 that got wrecked, so I went and bought a non-current 2013. This bike had been with me through so much shit, through being up in Ohio to coming down to North Carolina. It had been through a wreck. I replaced all the plastics on it, put a Toast exhaust on it. It was a pretty solid bike. I really enjoyed my time on it. But as the years went on, it was about as exciting as a fucking washing machine, man. It was just, I didn't like it anymore. It was just boring. It never let me down, though. I mean, honestly, the thing would always start up. It ran great. Even when I slammed it into the back of a bus at about 45 miles an hour, that thing kept on going. I rode it home. Straight up, I rode that thing home. I think my hand might have been broken. My foot might have been broken, but shit, did I not fucking get up after fucking giving my information to the police officer, and I fucking rode my shit home. It was all cracked up. It was cracked up for a little bit over a year until the insurance company got around to actually, you know, doing their job and processing my claim and everything. And then I got some new fairings on it. I traded that in when I got my Panigale, and I got somewhere in the realm of $5,000 for it, I think. They paid off the $1,000 that I owed on it, and then they put $4,000 towards the purchase of this bike. So when I purchased my bike, I think it was out the door about $16,000, right? Assembly fees. Most of my assembly fees and stuff were waived because I bought it during a time of the year where people aren't normally buying bikes. I bought it in December. That's typically a pretty big lull for them. Typically, when you buy a bike, you buy it in the fall, or like people generally get rid of their bikes in the fall and they want to step up to something in the spring. So in the spring, you don't really get the greatest customer service, I would say. Like, they're not really willing to work with you as much as they are during an off time. So during my off time that I purchased this bike, they waived the assembly fees. They waived so many different fees. So I got out the door with this bike at about 16 grand versus probably 17, closer to 17 if I wouldn't have bought it during an off time. So then I had my trade-in, which they paid off $1,000. I got about $4,000 to put towards my bike now. I walked out the door with this bike at about $12,500. So $12,500 for a brand new 2018 Ducati Panigale 959. I thought it was a great deal. Right now, my payment kind of sucks. I went through a personal loan with my bank, and the loan period is pretty short, but the interest is like 10%, which is not a sound financial decision. It's pretty dumb to do a 10% loan, but right now I'm about to pay off my car, and I'm going to just start shoveling money towards this bike and get it paid off as soon as possible. It's always imperative to put money towards the the beginning of it, because typically your interest is piled on the beginning of your loan, and then it kind of cycles through and you pay less interest as the loan goes on. But while you're paying the interest up front, you're not really getting the principal down, so you need to make extra payments, and that's what I'm about to start doing. Getting a little foggy, but it's going to cost me a little bit of money. 10% interest isn't a great interest rate. It was a bit of an impulse buy because I always wanted one, and I was going to pull the trigger regardless of what anybody said. So I pulled the trigger on my Panigale, got it. I pay $280 a month for my Panigale right now. It's a little bit high, but my loan length is pretty short, and I'm going to be done paying it in about 3 to 4 years, which is a pretty short loan. My insurance, people don't seem to want to insure this bike in my area. I live in North Carolina. I live in the Southeast. They didn't want to work with me. No insurance company wanted to work with me. I had offers from Geico and Progressive that were like $3,000 a year. Like, I almost didn't buy the bike simply because I couldn't afford the insurance on it. Like, I'm not going to spend $3,000 a year for insurance on a bike. That's insane. That's an insane amount of money. So while I was buying my bike, they actually partner with somebody that runs State Farm, and State Farm doesn't really look at your bike as the CCs and stuff. They basically just insure a bike for almost a flat rate. So that's really bad if you're riding a 250, but really good if you got a fucking 2018 Panigale 959. So my insurance rate's about $130 a month. I have one accident on my record, which is going to be dropped off actually next month. So I was told when I signed up that my insurance will go down to about $100 a month in now about a month. So I'm going to be paying about $1,200 a year for my insurance. Other than that, most of my assembly fees got waived on the bike. I did get the extra 2 years warranty on my bike, so I'll have about, I think, 6 years, 4 to 6 years of warranty. I need to go look at the paperwork again. But I got the extra 2 years warranty. It was actually discounted for me because Garcia Moto works with public safety really well, and they give a shit about public safety people, and us public safety people don't really make a lot of money. So I got the extra 2 years warranty for $600 total. I gave them $600. They signed me up for an extra 2 years warranty. Pretty fucking awesome deal, considering an extra 2 years is well over, I think, $1,500 or something like that. It's a sticker price on it. Now, what your dealership will do for you will be what your dealership does for you. Moving on from there, I purchased my bike, traded in my CBR, and I was off going. I've had several small issues with my bike since purchasing, and I'll tell you guys every single one of them here in 1 second. You're like, why are you sitting here with a helmet and you're talking to yourself? Are you okay? All right, guys. So the list of things that I've taken this thing to the shop for. Firstly, I took my bike to the shop for its 1,000 kilometer maintenance. That 1,000 kilometer maintenance comes out to 621 miles. If you're thinking about getting a Panigale and you need to do that first service, make sure you get to 621 miles before you take it in, because I waited till about 610 and they had to go ride it around for a while to get the service light to come on so they can clear it for me, or I would have had to go back for another trip into the shop, which isn't something that you want to do. That cost me about, I think, $180. So far, the maintenance on my bike in the first 6 months has been $180. And then I went back to the shop, let's see, once, probably 2, 3 times, 4 times. I've gone back to the shop 4 times besides for the service in the last 6 months. That sounds like a lot, I know. But when you buy an Italian sport bike, you have to expect little things to happen. You're not buying a Honda, you're not buying a Kawasaki, you're not buying a Yamaha. You're going to have to expect some little things to happen from time to time. And they happen with me. So the first thing that happened is the heat shielding underneath the right side belly pan started coming out from the exhaust port where the exhaust gets cut out of the fairing. It started coming out a little bit. Not that big of a deal. At the same time, my brake reservoirs were a little bit turned towards the rider too much, and the writing on the brake reservoir, which is raised and kind of rough, every time I turned was rubbing on the the windshield nuts, because the windshield gets screwed into these little rubberized nuts, and they were rubbing together, and it was basically disintegrating the windshield nuts. That wasn't a Ducati problem. I think that was an assembly problem. I don't know if that was an Italian assembly problem or a Garcia Moto assembly problem, but it wasn't that big of a deal. Those two issues were handled under warranty. No problem whatsoever. I sent my service guy a quick email like, hey, these two things happen. Can you fix them? And he's like, yes, your shop date is this date. I brought him in. They took care of everything without a problem. I have a ton of respect for Ducati service because they have such good customer service. And then what I went to next was an exhaust valve problem. My exhaust valve ended up being that the cable running to the exhaust valve had been pinched on something, so it wasn't working properly. So there would be times where the exhaust valve needed to be opened and it would be fully closed. Basically, my engine would cut off because it couldn't function like that. It was throwing a soft service light. I think it was a yellow instead of a red. And I called my dealership about it, and they figured it out. It took me 2 trips for them to figure it out, but they figured it out. They replaced it. My service guy said if I had a single additional problem, Ducati was going to cover it 100%. Replace my exhaust from the valve back for no cost to me. So they're like, hey, this is the issue. If this isn't the issue, we're going to replace it all. We're going to just say, fuck it, and you're going to get a whole new system, and it's not going to cost you a thing. My latest problem was leaking brake fluid. Big problem, right? That is a big problem. My cylinders, I know my my Ducati service rep said that they didn't figure out which area it was coming from, but what was happening was my cylinder, another setup problem, my cylinder was too far down low. I think this was from the windshield nut problem, and it was rubbing on the steering dampener, the steering stabilizer, and it would just kind of ride up a little bit every time, and then I'd turn and it'd go down, and then I'd turn left and it would ride up again, and there's this little cutout on the bottom where it was just basically rubbing the bottom of the brake fluid. Not the biggest problems, but it was starting to slowly seep brake fluid out of it. Brake fluid, as you know, is corrosive. You don't want that on anything. And you especially don't want it on something that you're going to be paying a lot of money on for a long time. So I told them about that. I wrapped the whole cylinder in a glove, and it was in like a medical glove, and it never leaked again. I didn't have any problems with it. They replaced both my cylinders for free. I got brake fluid, and I got a new clutch fluid reservoir, and I got a new rear brake fluid reservoir for total free. Like, I was only expecting them to literally like replace a tube and like pulled it up, but I got all new fluids in my brake and clutch and all new cylinders for free. The Ducati warranty is amazing. If anything happens that's their fault, they replace it, and they really don't ask any questions. Like, this is our problem. We're going to replace it. Please, don't fucking blame anybody else. This is our bad. We're going to replace this shit for you. So I've had nothing but great experience with Ducati service. Not only is my local shop, Garcia Moto, great, my service manager, his name's Carl, is fucking fantastic. And dealing with Ducati warranty service is basically hassle-free on my end. I'm sure my service rep has to do quite a bit of work, but on my end, it's fine. I never had to deal with them. So that is every problem. That is everything financial with the bike so far. Insurance, payments, and all the services with it. That's probably the biggest questions that I get on this bike all the time. What do you pay for insurance? What are your monthly payments? How many mechanical problems have you had? Honestly, all of my mechanical problems, I feel, are growing pains. I've said this on my channel a couple of times. I feel like these problems are all growing pains. There's something that is a setup, and once these things get set up properly, I should never have an issue with them again. My heat shielding should never come off again. My brake reservoirs are set up appropriately, and my exhaust valve is no longer a problem. My reservoirs are now set up appropriately so they won't rub. So none of these things should ever be a problem again. The bike itself runs fantastic. Through everything, this bike starts up every time. Does not give me a single problem. It runs like a champ. I've taken it like 400 plus miles in a day on a road trip. This thing's comfortable on road trips. It's a fantastic bike. I would buy this bike again in a heartbeat. If you said, hey, your bike is gone, here's, you know, the $16,000 that you were playing with to purchase it. What do you want to get? I'll be like, I want a 2018 Ducati Panigale 959. I like the white. I like the red color as well that it comes in. And I wouldn't change a thing right now. The bike still looks brand new. It still feels brand new. The paint is holding up fantastically. The windshield is getting a little bit of road nicks here and there. But it's not a big deal. I mean, it's a windshield. It's going to take some rock hits every once in a while. But it looks fantastic. Everything still looks brand new. Everything's getting taken care of appropriately. So the bike is fucking spot on. There's no complaints on my side on this bike whatsoever. I will say a lot of good things about this bike, but I think we should go for a ride. What do you guys think? Let's go for a ride. Alright guys, for the second part of this video, I wanted to actually take a ride with you. And let's talk about some of the other points that you can't just talk about at a kitchen table. So, besides for everything that I've said so far about this bike, there are several other things about it that you can't really talk about. You just gotta show. So one of the coolest things about this bike is the looks. The looks are 10 out of 10. Like literally 10 out of 10. I think the 959 and the 1299, personal opinion, look better than the V4. And honestly, I would take a 1299 over V4. I would take a 959 in cash over a 1299 though, just because I don't have the skills to use that much power at all. So yeah, so the looks are 10 out of 10. The sound that this thing makes, just, you can't beat that. This is like the best sounding motor. Personal opinion again, this is the best sounding motor hands down. Is the 959, 1299, the Desmodronic fucking L Twin is the best motor I really honestly think that's ever been made. It just sounds so raw and so mean. It's just so much fun to hear, you know. Other than looks and sound, let's see, what else do I need to tell you guys about the 6-month review? Like I said, if I had a chance and had to do this all over again, I would. I mean, I might have sourced a better financial institution, but I don't think I would get a different bike. I mean, there are positives to buying like 600s. There are positives to, you know, buying Japanese bikes and everything over Italians, you know, reliability, cost. But I would make this decision again in a second. It's just so cool. Everybody stares at you. Like when you're riding a Ducati, everybody's staring at you, and it doesn't matter. I mean, it generally doesn't matter what Ducati you're riding. Even like, you know, one of the bigger touring bikes that don't look as exciting as this one. I mean, people even stare at those. Oh, I mean, there's just no. The GoPro mic doesn't do this justice. I mean, there's just so much bass and feel in this exhaust note, straight stock, that you can't explain on a video. So looks 10 out of 10, sound 10 out of maybe 9 out of 10. All right, sound 9 out of 10 with an acro exhaust, 10 out of 10, straight up. Everybody's staring at you. Let's see some of the more practical things about it. You do lean forward quite a bit. You lean forward more than a Japanese bike, hands down. I remember getting on this bike after my CBR 600, and my CBR, I felt like the handlebars are here, and this is down here. And like you obviously lean forward more, but this is. Let me make sure I'm not about to get run over. But this is absolutely more of a. This is more of a track bike than the 600 was. Especially the CBR 600. If you guys know anything about the CBR 600, they really made that like for the street. They realized that, you know, like most people were not taking these to the track, taking the CBRs to the track, so we need to street streeting them is going to get us more customers. So it's just, everything's a little bit more comfortable. Why are you in the wrong lane of traffic? What the fuck? What the, did you guys see that? Oh, there's a bike. There's a bike. I was like, why the fuck are you in my fucking lane? But anyway, these are definitely more track oriented than the CBR was. It feels like it too, man. I mean, this thing is so flickable, it's awesome. Other than that, dudes, like, this thing is just so fucking awesome. Way better than the 600. I'm glad I got this bike. Every single day I ride this thing, or get to ride this thing, I'm glad I got this bike, you know. More practically, again, I would have to talk to you guys about fuel economy. The fuel economy on this bike is not that bad. I typically go on reserve after about 100 miles, and my reserve feels to me like it's almost 2 gallons instead of the standard about 1. It feels like it's about 2 gallons. It almost comes on at a half a tank. So when I was road tripping, I would stop and fill up every 100 miles when I could have comfortably probably pushed this thing to 125 to 150 before I really was in like a dire need for gas. So honestly though, it doesn't do bad on gas. It's not really that uncomfortable. It does put some weight on your wrists, but the weight on your wrist isn't terrible either. You know, you can deal with that, honestly. The seat with the comfort seat is comfortable as fuck. I actually did a video about mods, and the comfort seat was on my mods video. The original seat that you get is the track seat, so it's light and there's little padding on it, but ergonomically it is very well designed. So when you actually talk about replacing the seat, ergonomically the seat is fine. Like, it's actually a really comfortable seat. So I mean, I don't know, if you're gonna go less than 50 miles on it, you don't really need to upgrade the seat, to be honest with you. I generally do ride this thing a bit though, so yeah. Glad I get to get out and ride today. We're gonna start taking some vacations, and I'm not gonna be able to have the bike on vacation because we have to drive myself, the girlfriend, and the dog all the way up to Ohio. So today and tomorrow are my last days riding, and I have to put it up for a week. So let's see, what else can I fucking tell you guys? I'm gonna do a video on 959 myths debunked to give you guys a little bit more of an insight on all the things that people say about it. Oh, once you feel that front suspension just start going like that, it's just like, yeah. I'm gonna go find some twisties. There's a couple good twisty roads back here that I want to go hit. But yeah, that's my 6-month review, dudes. Like, I me give you the miles. 3,441 miles as of today, July 2nd. Bought it December 3rd, July 2nd. I got almost 3,500 miles. After today, it'll be 3,500 miles, halfway to a service. But I mean, this bike is fucking awesome. It still feels brand new. All the mechanical feel has not softened. The transmission still clunks in the gear. It's got a great feel to it. 100% would recommend this bike to a friend. So guys, if you got any other questions about the 6-month review on my 2018 Ducati 959 Panigale, please feel free, comment down below. Throw me a thumbs up. Please subscribe. I like knowing that I'm doing good. Alright? So I'm going to find some twisties, I'm going to make some more videos, and I'm going to enjoy my life. I hope you guys had fun watching. Thanks for fucking supporting my channel. It means a lot to me. Deuces.